It is?
Yep, sure is. Did you hear he ditched the man cave and brought back the study?
That's so sexy. I love it when a man is educated and informed.
He is so dreamy, always reading books and investigating history.
Where do you think he works out?
The library.
He is so controversial, always talking about 9/11 being an inside job, the police state, constitutional rights, ancient history, government cover-ups, and how he thinks sports don't matter in real life.
Oh, I love a freethinker who searches for truth. I love it when he feeds my brain. What's his name? Kriston T. Harris.
And I was like, I'm not gay, I just like musical theater.
It's too good.
Oh, dude, PBR, man, really underrated. It's really good. I've already had 6 of them tonight, and they just get better.
It's great beer, but you know what? It's no Bud.
And I'm a Coors Light guy myself.
Silver bullet.
Watch out.
You don't have a blue ribbon. It's not just Pabst. It's Pabst Blue Ribbon.
I'm a silver bullet.
Whoa.
I'm a king, so...
Well, your beer's a king. It's the king of beers.
Yeah, but if
Beer's
you
the
drink
king
the
of
beer, then that makes you the king.
Beer's a GMO. It's genetically modified. That's why they don't have to list their ingredients on the label.
Hey, Winston, do you have any 6s?
High fructose corn syrup, MSG, fish bladder is in beer. You're drinking fish bladder.
Any 6s at all?
Yeah.
Antifreeze, formaldehyde, ammonia. You guys are drinking ammonia?
Hey, Prescott, do you have any,
Chewing gum.
4s? Do you have any 4s?
Chewing gum has sheep secretions in it. That's secretions from sheep. Fitting, I'd say. Well, do you guys know what makes vanilla taste like vanilla?
I'm gonna just go with vanilla bean.
Beaver anal gland juice. Beaver anal gland juice.
Yeah, but that doesn't sound so bad. I mean,
I've had some anal juice.
Yeah,
I don't
It's eugenics, you guys. Don't you see? They're trying to wipe us out. Man, the water's poison, the air is poison, and the food is poison. We are cogs in the system, man. Slaves to the machine. And nobody cares. Nobody seems to give a shit.
Okay, cool. Good story. You can either, bitch about it or you can do something.
yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? It's America. Love it or leave it.
Honestly, why don't you
I'd
just
say love
leave?
it.
I would say love it too.
Yeah.
Like, if you hate it so much, why don't you just leave?
Yeah, or do something.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. These colors don't run. And I'm not running anywhere.
That's
United
right.
we stand, okay?
Hey, man, this Bud's for you.
You know what? Go fish. Sheep.
Cheers to loving this country and knowing that full faith will lead us to be the number ones.
To Christ.
Christ!
Right, baby. Jesus Christ.
Is he telling the truth or is he telling a lie? He's the conspiracy guy.
Hey, what's that? A Nightscope K5. A what? A Nightscope K5. It's a 300-pound police robot that looks like R2-D2 that can detect abnormal noise and temperature change or known criminals. It will alert local authorities. Malls, sporting arenas, communities everywhere is getting robots. No way. It kinda looks like a Dalek from Doctor Who. The all-seeing mobile robots will wirelessly connect to a centralized data server, where authorities will have access to big data, making it possible to recognize faces, license plates, and other suspicious anomalies. You know, big data. Your Facebook, Tinder, conversations, banking history, credit purchase history.
That sounds like a delete to me.
Have you ever heard of Stingray technology or Hailstorm?
No.
Boy, you need to tune into Kriston T. Harris. That's how I feed my brain.
Because of this administration, we are tonight a world divided. We are a nation becalmed. We have lost the brisk pace of diversity and the genius of individual creativity. We are plodding along at a pace set by centralized planning, red tape, rules without responsibility, and regimentation without recourse.
Madam Speaker, I have a few questions for my colleagues. What if our foreign policy of the past century is deeply flawed and has not served our national security interests? What if we wake up one day and realize that the terrorist threat is a predictable consequence of our meddling in the affairs of others and has nothing to do with us being free and prosperous?
To be fair, we had helped to create the problem we're now fighting. How? Because when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we had this brilliant idea that we were going to come to Pakistan and create a force of mujahideen, equip them with Stinger missiles and everything else to go after the Soviets inside Afghanistan.
Promise of being one of the most effective treatments for AIDS and cancer in history. Now it's gone, and one of the most respected research facilities in the country is being blamed.
Participation in a process that validates an establishment that never meaningfully changes. What if that establishment doesn't want and doesn't have the consent of the governed? What if the two-party system was actually a mechanism used to limit so-called public opinion? What if there were more than two sides to every issue, but the two parties wanted to box you into a corner, one of their corners?
Censored by the mainstream media, the destroyer of fake news, and your host of the Rundown Live, Kriston T. Harris.
Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kriston T. Harris, investigative journalist, reporter, known for things like being the only reporter at the Jeffrey Epstein Ghislaine Maxwell trial every day for 5 weeks in New York, as in the key footage used in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, used to exonerate Kyle, key reporter in the George Floyd protest, January 6th, and hundreds of other protests. I'm here to break down the matrix, the left-right paradigm, and the social engineering that is going on in your world today. If you want to support me, and you can do that, you can support me by dropping off a little donation on Venmo, or you can buy me a coffee. Listen, this radio broadcast is 100% listener funded. It's on groundzeroplus.com. Make sure you check out Ground Zero Plus. That is where it is at. There's a lot of great hosts out there. Clyde Lewis is over at Ground Zero Plus. You got Ryan Gable and many more. So make sure you guys are checking out Ground Zero Plus. We have a website that's going to be updated here. We paid somebody to do it, but they didn't do it. And that's a whole nother issue. And I don't really care about that. It's not really, it's like, you know, like the line with the little prick in his leg, and he's like, oh, you know, it's irritating, but it isn't going to stop me from doing what I'm doing here today. And I got to tell you, I am sick. I'm sick to my stomach after reading nothing but Epstein files all night. I've been viral on Facebook. If you haven't noticed, my Facebook feed is crazy. I'm picking up about 50 followers an hour, which is crazy to me. And I want you guys to hear it here first. So today we're going to get into a lot of the nitty gritty. First of all, if you have children, you may want to secure them and get them out of the room, because we're going to be diving into a lot of very crazy allegations, gut-wrenching allegations. And we're going to ask the question, because of something that came up in the Epstein files: is Jeffrey Epstein still alive? I want to know your thoughts on that. You guys can drop that in the comments. If you would like to send some articles this way, you can go ahead and drop the links in the chat. You can send me an email, showtips@therundownlive.com. Please don't call me. I've been getting calls ever since yesterday's episode. Calls from Mexico, calls from all over the place. People want to talk to me about the Epstein files in my research. And there's a lot of other people doing good research out there too. In fact, the term research means to search again, research. Somebody found it once before, and you're just finding out again. And that's what we're really diving into here. And on yesterday's episode, if you didn't tune in and you didn't get a chance to find it's on social media, we got to update our mobile apps, the Rundown Live mobile app. We are no longer having new episodes added to the KGRA platform. We are upgrading our systems here. We've moved to Ground Zero Plus, which is a great home. They've treated us like rock stars, so make sure you give them some love and support Ground Zero Plus. But I wanted to start off with this video, right? So there's these emails out there that came out right after Epstein died. In fact, the night that Epstein died, at 4:15 a.m., somebody posted in a 4chan, and we're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into Chinese aircraft carriers, but they're flying aircraft carriers. This is something like straight out of like Star Wars, and they can emit and send off drones. So you're going to have a giant aircraft carrier that floats in the air, and it's going to send out a whole bunch of little mini drones, for your safety. It's for your safety, not mine, for your safety, because everything they do to erode our liberties and freedoms is for your safety. And if you haven't realized yet, the whole social engineering plan is going exactly like it is meant to. You got people on the left that are hating. They're thinking Charlie Kirk. Oh, I hate Charlie Kirk. You have people on the right. Oh, Renee Good and Alex Pretty. Oh, I hate that. Pro-ICE, anti-ICE. Ammon Bundy has come out. We'll dive into that. And a whole bunch more. But before we do, somebody we've had on the program for many years, his name is Ben Swan. Ben Swan was a journalist who put out a Pizzagate video that basically ended his career. He was the top traffic Fox News anchor in all of history. He did something called Reality Check. Reality Check, Ben Swan. And he's an independent guy. He tries to report it how it is. And I've known that there's been some other precarious things going on, but he put out a very good video. And I think it's something that you guys need to see. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to play this video by Ben Swan. I want you guys to check this out because there's some truth. We talked about this yesterday with the Green Bay fines and the interesting articles in the Epstein files suggesting that the Podestas were child trafficking for sex slavery, right? And they were trafficking people, potential children, to Green Bay. Whether or not that's happening, who knows? That's just allegations. At the end of the day, who really knows? But what I will say is I could see Donald Trump using all this data to go after his political adversaries. Why wouldn't you? That's what the anti-fascists did, something right out of the Bolshevik Revolution where they, weaponized the agency groups to go after their political adversaries. On January 6th, that's what anti-fascists did. They all became cool little cops. Everyone wanted to be cop and turn in their adversary Proud Boy because they are fascists. And now you're going to have it the other way around. You got the conservatives in power, and they might just go after their enemies. That includes Elon Musk, and we'll get into that. One of his locations was raided due to potential damaging material dealing with underagers. So all that and a whole bunch more on this broadcast. So you're not going to want to go anywhere. We're going to dive into the mystery of Babylon. We're going to dive into the cult. We're going to dive into what some of these deleted Epstein files are saying and why were they deleted. Also, I think it's really interesting. There has to be something said that very few of Trump's names are redacted. Why is that all these other people are redacted, but not Donald Trump's name? I'm just curious on why that is. And I think I know. And a lot of that might stem to the ritual of letting you know what's really happening when it's not happening, or it might not be happening at all. Like, I don't think Trump realizes he could be a hero by going after and investigating this. But instead, he's like, oh, there's nothing there. Remember, it's a conspiracy. He's the guy saying it's a conspiracy, and other people are coming out and saying that there needs to be prosecutions dealing with this. But here we go. We're going to go ahead and dive a little bit into this. This is Ben Swan. Ben Swan does his own thing now, Truth in Media. And I'm going to go ahead and be quiet, but we're going to go ahead and play this video right now.
Epstein is Pizzagate. Let that sink in for a minute. Jeffrey Epstein is Pizzagate. 10 years ago, Pizzagate was by far the #1 trending topic on Twitter. But the claim of pedophile elites who preyed on children was so insane that Pizzagate was shrugged off as a wild fever dream of a conspiracy theory. I was the first mainstream reporter to dare give the facts surrounding Pizzagate. My corporate career was destroyed over it, so what? My professional reputation was obliterated, that wasn't fun. And I wasn't the only one. Anyone who dared to suggest that this might be true was blacklisted, shadow banned, or thrown off of social media. But then, just days ago, the largest dump of Epstein files revealed what some of us have been telling you for a decade, that Pizzagate is real. Not that there is a pizza parlor at the center of a child trafficking ring, but that child trafficking rings run by some of the most powerful people in the world do exist. Tonight, I want to remind you of what I told you then and compare that to what we have now learned.
Well, Pizzagate. It became a major story weeks ago when an armed man decided to investigate a D.C. area pizza place for himself. This man right here, he carried a rifle into a pizza parlor and then fired it at the floor. Media is telling you the entire story is a hoax or fake news. But what does that even mean? I spent the last month investigating. So what exactly is Pizzagate?
Well, the story that came to be known as Pizzagate did not begin with a rumor, nor was it created by Macedonian sheep farmers, as CNN actually once claimed. It began with WikiLeaks, authentic, verified emails taken from the phone of the chairman of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, John Podesta. Those emails were real. In all these years, by the way, no one has actually disputed that. Inside those emails were communications that struck a lot of people, not just online commentators, but researchers and former law enforcement as unusual to say the least. References to pizza and to pizza handkerchiefs and to maps, to private gatherings involving powerful people, some very bizarre stuff. In fact, the first people to draw attention to those emails were a group of self-proclaimed pedophiles on 4chan and 8chan who claimed that Podesta was using the same terminology that they use to speak in coded language. And in researching those emails, I found a 2010 entry into Urban Dictionary. It's still there, by the way. It confirms that cheese pizza is a commonly coded term for child pornography, CP.
I want you to see these images here. These are the images. Notice this one on the end, the triangle. That image signifies something called boy love. The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago. Clearly, you can see that the Besta logo actually contains the same image, I'm going to show you again, as that boy lover image. Interestingly, after Pizzagate investigators pointed this out, Besta Pizza changed their logo, and there it is now. They removed the triangle.
Yeah, 10 years ago, I was called a dangerous conspiracy theorist and a madman for claiming that pedophiles and possibly even pedophile elites might use coded language, even though it was online pedophiles who said that's exactly what they do. Which brings us back to this new Epstein release, because in it, the word pizza is mentioned 911 times. That's right, 911 times adults are emailing back and forth about slices of pizza and about pizza parties. And the word pizza is often paired with grape soda in bizarre contexts within emails addressed to Epstein by individuals whose names have been mostly redacted. So here's one. Quote, "This is better than a Chinese cookie. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. No one else can understand." Or this one. "Mr. Epstein would like to see the menu from the pizza place. Could someone send it, please?" Or this one from 2014. "Sit down, because I know you won't believe this. Are you sitting? Jeffrey says he wants to go out to a pizza place with you. He did not mention a particular pizza place, but he knows you are in the know on this," with a little winking emoji. All of the emails that I just shared with you were from 2014, right about the same time period of the John Podesta emails that WikiLeaks published and started the entire Pizzagate saga.
Now let's talk about the Podesta brothers, because remember, it was John Podesta's email that was hacked. In those leaked Podesta emails, John Podesta talks about his close relationship with Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who was recently sentenced to 15 months in prison for abusing boys years ago.
Yeah, well, speaking of the Podesta brothers, again, there was no direct evidence of them being involved in child sex trafficking from those emails. But as we pointed out at the time, there was a lot of bizarre communication, including an email from John Podesta to his brother Tony. The subject line, "Last night was fun," and the first line reads, "Still in torture chamber." That email got really no attention 10 years ago, but today, a 2009 email from Jeffrey Epstein is getting a lot of attention, as it asks, "Where are you? You okay? I love the torture video."
To the fallout from the latest release of the Jeffrey Epstein documents, they include communications between the rich and powerful, from the co-owner of an NFL team to billionaires like Elon Musk.
CNN teams are carefully sifting through the largest, and what the Justice Department says is the last, batch of Jeffrey Epstein files.
Friday's release of millions of pages related to Jeffrey Epstein provided a closer look at his connection to world elites from Hollywood to Washington, Wall Street to Buckingham Palace and beyond.
Yeah, well, all those so-called news anchors and their newsrooms for a decade blacklisted this topic. They conditioned you to live in ignorance. They called it a conspiracy. They called me and so many others dangerous for even looking.
For all that is here, there has not been one single public investigation of any of this. Not from local police, not from the FBI, no one. And that has to be the big question. Not for Podesta or for pizza parlor owners, but for law enforcement. Based on what may be or may not be here, the big question is, why hasn't any investigation taken place?
Well, 10 years later, no investigation ever took place. It's a failure of a complicit government and also of a corporate media that didn't just ignore this evil. They helped to cover it up and keep it operating in the shadows. See, by refusing to engage honestly in 2016, by choosing mockery over investigation, by silencing questions instead of asking them, they created the very environment where this evil could thrive. See, they didn't kill bad information as they pretended. They guaranteed it would survive. See, I wasn't censored the way that I was because my reporting was false. I was censored because it was dangerous. Dangerous to narratives, dangerous to reputations, dangerous to a media culture that had grown comfortable acting as a gatekeeper rather than a watchdog. See, the unspoken rule was simple. Some questions are not allowed. Not because they're wrong, no, but because they lead to the truth. And the truth? Pizzagate. At least in the form of a cabal of elites and powerful people who delight in the physical and sexual abuse of children, is real. Remember how we started. Epstein is Pizzagate. But the other reality it's time to accept, Pizzagate is much more and much bigger than just Jeffrey Epstein.
And that's the truth. That's something we've been talking about on this broadcast for quite some time. And I wanted to go ahead and segue right into this article here that we have on the screen. And if you want a chance to view it, this is something we talked about on yesterday's broadcast, right? This here is an article discussing just that. Basically what Ben Swan was talking about. And you're like, well, Chris Don, what do you mean? Well, here, I found this because I was searching to see if my state, Wisconsin, is in there. There's a bunch of stuff. Scott Walker's in there. He's like begging to hang out with Epstein. You know, Scott Walker, by the way, that Walker by Scott is Herbert Walker Bush. He's related to George Bush. You know, the guy we were talking about that was at the sacrificial rituals. And Stu Webb said was part of a council of 13 that went and did real child sacrifice allegedly and drank baby blood. I'm just I don't know, man. A lot of it sounds so crazy to me. My stomach hurts to think that this would actually happen. I'm upset at the fact that the media has downplayed this and that there hasn't been a proper investigation. It sounds so wild. It sounds so crazy that nobody would actually believe that it's real. And what's weird is the government ran a whole psyop called QAnon based on this just to discredit the real things that may be happening within government. Because what the QAnoners believe was majority or mostly false, other than the foundation, the William Cooper videos, the 9/11 stuff, the Alex Jones stuff, the real investigated stuff. So here we go. We got this in the Epstein files, and it talks about a report that happened, and there was a little bit of follow-up. There says, quote, there is a good chance that Palm Beach resident Jeff Podesta Darnell is involved in human trafficking with Epstein. Which, by the way, I looked the guy up. He allegedly still works in Palm Beach, if that's the gentleman I found on yesterday's program on LinkedIn. Just saying. But it says federal employee Ann Gabao in Green Bay, Wisconsin, told me how her husband, Nelson Gabao, is related to the Babe family and the Podesta family, and they are involved in trafficking small children for sex specifically. A quick background check on Nelson reveals that he has a name changed from Nelson E. Pod. The Babe family, Pod family, and Podesta families all appear to originate out of Chicago. Remember, there was that rumor that John Podesta had a legitimate child and it was the lead singer of Linkin Park? That was going around for a while. Look into it. They look a lot alike. I don't know. He said his daddy abused him and he committed suicide. And he was a music star. That's something we learned from the Epstein trials, that these people that got abused became famous stars. That was the payoff, right? So it says here, I noticed Jeff Podesta Darnell's friends with people in Green Bay as well. Also, Ann and Nelson got a divorce and put their house up for sale in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And they have the address there. And it says pictures of the home online reveal that the main bathroom is decorated for children, and Ann Nelson never had any children. It is my understanding that this is continuing on well past the death of Epstein and the rest of Ghislaine Maxwell. Please look into this. And if you have any other issues with this form, please email. It says, oh, hey, if you have any other questions, let me know. But here we have it. basically claiming what Ben Swan was talking with Podesta ties, right? That potentially there could be, this are all allegations, trafficking of children into New Berlin. And so last night I'm digging through this trash, because that's what I call it. It's like going through the pits of hell and reading the things and the hate. So either there's a couple of things here. What I'm going to show you next are deleted Epstein files. And either these were hateful posts and allegations and reports by people who just dislike Donald Trump a lot, which I know there's a lot. I've met people that know Trump and they don't like him. I don't know. I'm just letting you know. I've met people that know Trump personally. They've hung out with Trump personally. And, you know, they don't like him. They think he's a bad person, like an evil person. I don't have any experience with Trump. Only things I've heard from Trump locally is that once he got a flat tire in his limo and somebody in Wisconsin changed a tire and he paid off his house mortgage. To me, that doesn't sound too bad. So we have a lot of mixed information, right? So next I want to dive into is... This is yesterday we were talking about the ritualistic sacrifice, the Mystery Babylon stuff. Where are we going here? We'll get into that in a little bit. We'll start here. And maybe we're going to put this on full screen because I think this is very interesting. These are reports surrounding the Epstein files around the party lifestyle. So let me get you guys into, we are on full screen already, so that's good. For the listeners at home on Ground Zero Plus, some of this is going to be very sensitive, and I encourage you, if you have children that don't have adult minds, you're the parents, make the decision. But I'm telling you right now, this stuff is going to make you feel gross. And I don't know how much of this is real. Most of this is anonymous. And so if it's anonymous and there's no real way to follow up, it's really hard. And a lot of these people are probably just worried for their lives. I mean, people asked me if I was worried for my life. I got robbed in New York and had my laptop stolen out of my Airbnb after confronting Isabel Maxwell, which is Galan's sister. Asked her about the Bilderberg Group, which we talked about yesterday, which is also in the Epstein files. But here we go. So let's dive into the deleted messages. Everyone's talking about the deleted messages. They can't find them. I found them. I found at least some of them. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about this because I want you to think about this. We elect these individuals to represent us. And I'd like to see what you guys have to say. So if you're watching this program, get into the chat. I see there's a bunch of people on multiple different platforms. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. But here we go. So-and-so reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral fellatio on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told me, Alexis, that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing oral sex. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein. So that's one of the complaints. And that mentioned Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. So-and-so reported she had a friend, Leslie McMichael, who was a personal assistant to Epstein in Florida from 1986 to 91 or 92. This friend shared names of some of the guests of Epstein's parties to include Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Okay. At age 16, here's another report. While modeling, Collar attended 8 parties at Epstein's New York residence. On one occasion, Collar reported she was sexually assaulted by Epstein. On another occasion, two twin brothers, Alan and Orrin, lured Collar and her friend upstairs, but they escaped back downstairs. Collar stated Orrin raped her best friend, and third brother, Tall, also took advantage and raped a 14-year-old girl named Katie Ellen Yu. Collar named other individuals, including big orgy parties with her, other young girls, and old Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Boy, we keep hearing those two individuals. Here's another online complaint. reported she was a victim and witness to a sex trafficking ring at the Trump Golf Course in Rancho Palos Verdes, California between 95 and 96. Complainant reported Ghislaine Maxwell as the madame and broker for sex parties, clients of whom included Epstein, Robin Leach, and Donald Trump. Complainant reported participating in orgies that some girls went missing, rumored to have been murdered and buried at the facility. Complainant reported being threatened by Trump's then head of secretary that if she ever talked of what went on there or who she saw, he would end up as fertilizer for the back nine holes like the other cunts. Complainant, here's another complaint. Complainant claims to have video of high-profile sex parties dealing with cartels and having witnessed Robin Leach strangle a young girl to death at a party. So in a lot of these files, we're hearing about torture and girls that were tortured, and sometimes they were accidentally killed because allegedly they claim that Trump had a fetish of choking somebody near death and having them pass out and then letting them wake up and going, oh, you're still alive, and then choking them out again. But these are just, again, anonymous claims. But these are multiple different claims. Another caller claims he was contacted by a female victim of Epstein's who wants to publish a book. Complainant provided background for himself, such as working with prominent figures such as Leslie Wexner, as we know, and Epstein. Leslie Wexner was one of Epstein's handlers. And I wonder if, because they have that whole emails about Jeffrey Epstein's brother being called pudgy and threatened by an anonymous source, right? I wonder if that was Les Wexner people. Oh, I loved Epstein, but he was going to tell the government everything. And so they killed him, allegedly. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. The victim reportedly knew about the criminal activity that occurred in multiple states and in airplanes and told complainant there were films of prominent men such as Epstein, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell in the videos as well. And we're going to get to all that in a little bit. Here's some more. Complainant reported meeting Lisa Villanueva at a hospital where they were roommates in 2000, who now goes by Ghislaine Lisa Villanueva. Complainant was invited by Villanueva to a party on Palm Beach Island, Florida, to a residence she believes to have belonged to Epstein. There she met a model scout named Bobby Cox, whom Villanueva allegedly referred to him as a pimp. Complainant stated Villanueva spoke with hostess at the residence, whom complainant believed that Ghislaine Maxwell, while at the party, complainant stated that they all been invited to by Donald Trump to party at Mar-a-Lago. Complainant told Villanueva she wanted to go to the party and was allegedly told by Villanueva that it was for prostitutes. When complainant was 14 years old, Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly approached her about modeling, international travel, and massages. Complainant never reached out to Maxwell because the offer sounded as if it was mostly based around modeling, which complainant was unable to do because of a hip defect. Okay, so this is just the first page. And as you can see, there seems to be a repeating theme here, right? Underage woman and Donald Trump. And I want to mention, there's a lot of people mentioned in these Epstein files. Donald Trump 5,000 times. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's kind of like enough to go, One person called, caller reported that school was mad at her for not being a Trump person and that the school wanted her to testify and say things about Andrew Cuomo. The FBI and Donald Trump were on the phone during the meeting. Caller believes the FBI has baby pictures of her with Epstein. Caller reported that in 1987, a friend, victim one, was out drinking and ended up at the Trump Plaza. Victim one saw Donald Trump and wanted to meet him. An unknown man approached her and offered her to introduce him to Donald Trump. The unknown man gave victim one a drink and boop, she was out, which is By the way, I used to bartend for 8 years. I've heard crazy stories like that. It sounds like she was drugged. Victim 1 woke up naked and sore with $300 in the bed. Victim 1 didn't remember how she got to the room. She remembered seeing a flash of Trump's face. Victim 1 called the caller and told her she thought she had been raped. Victim 1 did not go to the hospital to have a rape kit performed because she didn't think anyone would believe her, especially because she was drunk. Victim 1's husband business had problems with suppliers, and Victim 1 believed Trump was behind it. Victim 1 also started dating a lawyer, identifiers unknown, who was married to Victim 1. Had a flight with her lawyer boyfriend and went to a bar. Victim 1 left the bar with a man who no one in the bar recognized, but who seemed familiar with Victim 1. Victim 1 was never seen again. However, a few years ago, remains were discovered that matched a description of what Victim 1 was wearing when she went missing. DNA tests at the time were inconclusive. Here it says in 2004 and 2005, Sir Ivan Wizig hosted a party where Jeffrey Epstein, Sammy Sosa, and Donald Trump. Sammy Sosa, the Chicago Cubs. There you go, those Chicago scum. You know, being from Wisconsin, we got to say that every time. Patty LaBelle's PR agent stood at the door at the party. Caller met an individual who was approximately 18 to 23 years of age, who was brought from Oklahoma for a modeling job, but then told a man in France several women were being auctioned, and women possibly known as Colette, LNU, was the madame. A couple of years later, caller saw Colette at the Cheetah Club in New York, and she told one of Santos' friends that Jamie Foxx was interested in spending the night with her and that he could pay her a lot of money. And finally, as we know, Donald Trump had calendar girl parties. And here's a report that Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called calendar girls. Jeffrey Epstein would bring the children in, and children would auction them off, the claim is. He measured the children's vulva and vaginas by entering his finger and rated the children on tightness. The guests were elder men and included Elon Musk. Don Jr., Trump, Ivanka Trump, and Eric Trump were there. Attorney Alan Dershowitz was also there with attorney Bob Shapiro. We were taken in rooms and forced to give oral sex to Donald Trump, forced to allow them to penetrate us. I was 13 years old when Donald J. Trump raped me. Ghislaine Maxwell was also present. Now, this is the claim that everybody's talking about. The calendar girl parties. The calendar girl parties. And these calendar girl parties, whether real or not, these claims, and that one in particular is really interesting to me. Why would you have your wife and or your daughter and your son at a party where you're auctioning off children? I mean, it's like it's a normal thing. It just seems so bizarre to me. And it's weird because these are the things that the QAnon crowd believe that Donald Trump would save America from. And here he is in all the files. And I want to go into the whole mind control aspect of this, right? So you have this idea, and the idea is that elitist, liberals, and Illuminati, occultists, mystery religion people who are involved in mock child sacrifices and real, allegedly here, they run the world, right? And those are mostly the bad leftists, the Podestas, the Clintons. Some of the conservatives may have been compromised. Of course, we'd like to think Senator McCain and the people that stature, the people who are warmongers. But here it is, the whole QAnon thing that was used and was discredited, right? A lot of it. There was no 500,000 sealed indictments. There is no JFK Jr. still alive. Somebody said they helicoptered and met him at Mount Rushmore. Just think about all the bullshit that was peddled during the whole QAnon thing. But here you have it, that not only are those people that were rumored to be involved are in the Epstein files, but the person that the right adopted as a savior identity, almost like an MK Ultra, a Trump card per se, is in the documents over 5,000 times, is a billionaire, lots of money, and may have been involved in bizarre things. And there's allegations that he was on a yacht in Lake Michigan when a 13-year-old was there, and their child was murdered by their uncle, who sold her to sex slavery, which is also in the Epstein files. All of this has been gut-wrenching, but I want you to think, right now, they have a conservative movement that is really defending, Donald Trump, he's a great individual. Could he be King Solomon, the worst and the best? Who knows? Could this be all allegations and false? It could be, but we haven't even dived into the rest of the allegations. But now you got people who are interested in the calendar girl parties and what happened at these parties, and we're getting all these allegations, right? Donald Trump was elected. People are calling in all the bad things he's done. This reminds me, and he's not the only president to have that done. Barack Obama. You guys remember Larry Sinclair? Larry Sinclair claimed to have dealt crack cocaine to Barack Obama and performed fellatio. He testified under court order, in court, on his hand on the Bible, about giving Barack Obama head, and claimed that he may have murdered many men in his church, or a couple of kids in his church, because of his gay relations with them. And it's really interesting that they constantly are talking about Trump being gay. There's this whole thing about one individual a boy who claimed, and he actually, I have the audio somewhere. There's, what's his name? Sasha something or another. I'll have to look it up. He's giving a witness testimony about his experience with Trump, where he claims that Trump forced him to perform fellatio. They killed the girl he was having sex with right in front of him. And then when Trump laid on his stomach, he jammed a tent stake up his rear, and Trump had to fly out because of some emergency hemorrhaging, and he was never killed, allegedly, but now he's in the military and he's speaking out. You don't believe me? Let's find out. Let's see. Sasha, whistleblower. So it's just crazy to me. Just everything is twirling around. We don't know what is true, and we don't know what is real. But what we're seeing here is everything William Cooper predicted. And we'll maybe save that for And we'll maybe save that for tomorrow's episode and get that all fixed up here. And we'll it's kind of crazy to me. You guys think about this. Everything we've been investigating and learning to believe, and a lot of this has been whistleblowers from the 80s and 90s, the Fritz Springmeyers of the world. But look at this craziness. Just think about what we have. We have these organizations. We have people who claim to be part of like the Illuminati and all this other jazz, which to me, that's secret society stuff. Secret society stuff. So we're gonna dive back into some of these things and transition a little bit here. That if you want to read more of that, you can go to my Facebook, Kriston T. Harris. That's right there. You can find it right on my Facebook and anything you want to dive into. But I want to kind of move in because we're running low on time here. I can't believe how fast time is flying doing these shows and trying to bring you guys all this information. But I really want to talk about this here. And that is the fact that there are witnesses that claim that Jeffrey Epstein was removed from his jail cell on the evening of his death. There was a viral 4chan post that claimed that Epstein was wheeled out into a military vehicle and removed from the jail cell early in the morning of when he was reported dead. And I was like, well, this could be just a bunch of hogwash. It was an anonymous post. Well, guess what? The SDNY found it serious and they investigated it. And they found the individual to be real and that they actually worked at the jail cell. And we have a name of that individual. So here it is in the Epstein files. The comment claims, not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me, but last night after 4:15 a.m., or it could be p.m., it doesn't say. So 4:15 would be 4:15 a.m. They took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says that they spoke to him. So somebody came, took Epstein out because of health issues or something, and not one nurse talked to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not release on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing. The trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number, and the guy in the green dress military outfit was in the back of the van ordering to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I am shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. So we talked about this. We talked about this on the Rundown Live 4 years ago about all you really need is facial recognition to get false positives, and then you kill somebody that's homeless that has a facial structure of Jeffrey Epstein. You look for him, and then you switch out the body, and then you take Epstein. He's on an island somewhere sipping on margaritas. Could that be the case? I want to ask you guys, do you think it is possible that Jeffrey Epstein is still alive? According to these Jeffrey Epstein files, there's a possibility that he is still alive. Right there, it says right in the Epstein files. And what's crazy is they identified the person. Here you go. Epstein files contain a viral 4chan post that workers witnessed Epstein being removed from his cell on the night he allegedly hung himself. An anonymous tip from inside the jail witnessed Epstein being wheelchaired out of the prison and posted at 4:15 on 4chan. The evening of the Epstein's alleged death, the SDNY took the post seriously and opened an investigation and found out who the guy was that made the 4chan post the day after it was posted. The anonymous person has been identified as Robert Griljalva, an MCC officer who worked at the jail Epstein had allegedly died at. His name was revealed and banking records released under grand jury filings. It was confirmed he worked there at the time Epstein was at the facility. And the things that make you go, What do you guys think? Do you think that's legitimate? Do you think that Jeffrey Epstein could be sitting somewhere sipping on margaritas? By the way, want to shout at some people in the chat. Kim Bridges is in the chat. How you doing, Kim? Kim says, I used to listen to Bill Cooper back in the day. It's funny, I come from the school of William Cooper. I've listened to thousands of hours at the time. It's great. I filed a FOIA. The reason why anyone knows what happened to William Cooper, I filed a FOIA, got 300 pages back from the FBI who stalked him, and then, the government ended up murdering Bill Cooper for tax evasion, right? It was for tax evasion. Is that the penalty for tax evasion? Death? That's what it is. I don't think they murder him from that. But in the 300 documents, it talks about his investigation into the World Trade Center bombing and how he thought it was an inside job, which came out in Congress in the 90s, by the way. Terry Nichols, Timothy McVeigh were in bed with bin Laden, but they didn't have a nickel between them. How could you believe that? All that stuff and more. And if you want to find those files, they're actually on the FBI website because of yours truly filing a FOIA back in 2014 or 2013. I don't know, but, I don't get credit for that, and I don't care. I just want the people to know the truth about William Cooper, who was a drunkard and a really mean man at times, but also did a lot of good things in the name of Christ and research. And he did a great job researching. I mean, he seems to be right here about all this. It's pretty crazy to me. Also, I want to shout out to Paula Abner. What's up, Paula? I see Jason Wayne go in the chat. Wishborn, very real possibility. I mean, it is a real possibility that Epstein's out there sipping on margaritas on an island somewhere, probably with bin Laden and Saddam Hussein in his wheelchair. I just don't want to even think about it. Like, these people are evil. Like, as a Christian, I got to ask you guys something. And this is a hard one. If, let's say, all this stuff is real, we're hearing about babies' intestines being ripped out and people eating the feces out of them while George Bush is there doing a sacrificial ritual, which ties into what Stu Webb, who was married into the Bush family, allegedly claimed, which we played yesterday. And we have a whole nother episode that was removed from the internet. I should also mention transhumanist whistleblower Rachel Haywire reached out to me because the Epstein group deleted one of my shows I don't know if I can't say it was them directly, but basically she claimed that Jeffrey Epstein was in bed with some people in the transhumanist movement, the Lifeboat Foundation, and this is about 2018. So this is episode 600. We're like almost at 1,000. We might be at 999, which is a punk rock number. But I think that she was talking about how she was right about these parties. She'd tell me about these sex parties, these billionaire orgies, these cuddle puddles that the elite have, these secret societies, and these weird rituals they'd make them do. They'd cut people open and let them bleed while they have sex with them. All this weird stuff, right? It's just crazy to me. And what is the result? Can these people be redeemed? Could somebody that committed these kinds of acts and sin change your life and be a better person? And that was the chant of Christianity: bigger the sinner, bigger the saint. So if somebody that was involved in this trafficking ring came forward and started squealing, that's all it's going to take is one. And Epstein could have been that one, and we could have a whole lot more information. We could have trials, and we could have a clean government, and they would have to start all over again, right? It's a reset button. They need a whole bunch of other people to be compromised. They have to work hard again, and somebody's going to set up the blackmail operation. P. Diddy, I wonder I have to check the files for P. Diddy. There's a whole bunch of people I'd like to search, but Paula Dillon says, just followed you and listening from Kentucky. Thank you for covering. Yes, we're going to bring you news you won't hear anywhere else here at the Rundown Live. And if you want to support me, you can donate a coffee, buy me a coffee. All that stuff is available. I'll put it on the screen for you guys for just a second. If you guys would like to do such a thing, you can support this broadcast. And I want to bring in some other interesting articles real quick, though, too. So all you do is you scan that little buy me a coffee with your camera or the Venmo, and you can send me a little love. I love coffee. I do. I like to say I like pizza, but considering what we're talking about today, I don't want people to get confused. All right. Anyways, Chicago deep dish. It's like casserole, Illuminati's. Yeah, not different from the Illuminati, by the way. Different from this.
What do I mean? He formed something called the Trilateral Commission. The Trilateral Commission is some spooky stuff. People said it was some of the people that the Illuminati. The Trilateral Commission is, and the Council of Foreign Relations is, the descendants of the Illuminati, rebranded, and a lot of it has been perverted over the years. But if you want to know more about that, Myron C. Fagan, CFR Illuminati, look it up. It's a vinyl records from the 1960s. Diving in deep to some more of this information, we only have about 30-some minutes left to use up and talk about this. We just talked about the Donald Trump, calendar girl parties. And I have to mention, there is more where this came from. And if you want to read more of this horrible stuff that was going on, I mean, constantly the names are Trump, Maxwell, amongst others. And it's just, it's gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching. I want to go punch someone. Here's an interesting post that came out. And this is confidential Jeffrey Epstein. This was sent out in November 21st, 2019. And from and to has been blacked out. So I'm guessing it was a report to the FBI. And there was a reply to it. And here we have it. It says, allegedly videos of Jeffrey's parties exist for a price of 1 Bitcoin. You can find out exactly what's going on in the Epstein world for 1 Bitcoin, they claimed. So here it says, Edward, this is sensitive, so it will be the first and last email depending on your discretion. You could choose to take it or trash it, but this comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staff at Zorro Ranch. Oh, the one place the FBI didn't raid. Did you know that the FBI didn't raid Zorro Ranch? Yeah, that was like the summer camp for the kiddies, the children. So he goes on to say the material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein's home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written, though. Did you know? And then it's all blacked out. I want to know what this is. I'm kind of curious on why they blacked this out. Obviously, it said somebody did something, but here's the video footage of Epstein, and it says, lovage with them. Well, it says sex with a minor. It says threesomes, underage girl video, underage girl rape fantasy video, and girl Madam Ghislaine Maxwell audio. Please arrange for 1 Bitcoin by 6 p.m. today, Thursday, 11/22/19. Isn't that the day that Kennedy was killed? The anniversary was 11/22/63, if I remember right. To the Bitcoin wallet address blank. The USB will be sent anonymously to your attention by overnight courier upon receipt of the funds. You have my assurance this is exclusive, never shared before, no attorneys, no samples, no questions. Please confirm ASAP. So for 1 Bitcoin, which is tanking because it's in the news that Jeffrey Epstein was one of the founding investors into Coinbase, and some people believe that he had his hands in the creation of Bitcoin, but we don't really know. It's quite crazy and interesting. So there are videos that exist. This isn't the only case. I've heard that there are rumors that in Mexico, there's a bunch of videos that exist, and law enforcement was trying to get them to the United States government, but American operatives have been trying to kill the people involved. That's alleged. So that's just stuff I saw online I couldn't confirm. So there's all this stuff that's out there. You got to be really careful. There's a lot of bullshit out there. Jeffrey Epstein was given the okay to kill someone. Check out this email. Here it is, Jeffrey Epstein from the Epstein file. It says, I give you permission to kill him, so-and-so wrote. He apparently, with blank, could be Israel, he is or Trump or whoever. He lied to you, he lied to me. And then it says, whoops, no one will lie to you again. Get away with it from me. No one. Whoops is correct. And that's Jeffrey Epstein getting permission or giving permission. It's kind of hard to follow. To kill someone. Does that mean, fire him? I don't know. When we heard stories of people being buried in the back nine of Trump's golf course, who knows? It's all crazy. Like I said, it's amazing to me that all these names are blanked out, but Trump's name is predominantly through it, almost like they want you to accept it and double down in the denial. Right? That's the MK Ultra aspect. You have the left that's going to double down on their normalcy bias and anti-authoritarianism. But if Charlie Kirk gets shot, good, he's a bastard anyways. And then you have the right who's like, oh, that's pretty good. See the MK Ultra trick there? Alex Pretty, Renee Good. Oh, that's pretty good. They're going to hate and not care that our government is killing innocent Americans because they're on the left. It's cool to hate. Well, the idea here is that the elite are doing this. They can get away with this, and they're above the law. They're above the law. There's no real investigation going on. There wasn't one for Pizzagate. They normalized it. They made you all believe the right was crazy, including me questioning things. I had the top traffic Pizzagate video on YouTube. That's probably why they wouldn't reinstate my old YouTube video. I'm telling you right now, my old channel had a lot of followers. I tried to get it back. I went to the third person in charge of YouTube, who I gave his wife a ride, and he said there was nothing they could do. And I asked if it had to do with the Epstein stuff, and he didn't. He got back to me, and then he avoided me like the plague. Because they know that there's a whole bunch of stuff there I was on fire about. I brought awareness. Top traffic at that time, 2015. You went to YouTube, you looked it up, millions of views. Gone. Channel gone. New channels up if you want. You can follow me there on YouTube, but it could be gone tomorrow from the way they are, right? So follow me on rumble.com/therundownlive. So the next article, which ties into our original story, is the fact that Epstein's body was switched with boxes According to the original Epstein Files report, it says that Epstein's body was switched with boxes and sheets while being taken to the hospital to thwart the media. Examiner OCHE arrived to the transport Epstein to their facility due to the large news media presence outside of the MCC. A male OCHE official called and said he would be arriving at the loading dock with a black vehicle in order to thwart the media XXXMI and use boxes and sheets to create what appears to be a human body. And by the way, there was no forensic research at the scene. They took the body from the prison and that was it. Again, is Jeffrey Epstein alive? Hey, that's me. So I wanted to mention and talk about some other things that ties into Epstein. There's obviously rumors that he has a legitimate son out there somewhere. Obviously, if you're Epstein, you wouldn't want them to know that you have a son. They'd probably kill him, right? If Epstein was going to come forward and tell all the secrets, and that's why he was dying, like Harrison Smith said, which is very possible, which, by the way, I respect Harrison Smith a lot and the guys over at InfoWars who have given me an opportunity over there many times, and I may not agree with everything that they say. They have me on for that purpose, right? It's interesting that Mark was getting all those emails and they're calling Pudgy saying, hey, do you know who this is, who's running things? You know who I am. Say you're half in on the business. They wanted him to take over for Epstein, essentially, is what it sounded like. And he denied it. In other crazy news, and I'm going to tell you right now, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden a lot of adversaries and a lot of your faves are arrested. Ex-offices raided in France as prosecutors investigate child abuse images and deep fakes. Oh, deep fakes. Let's put that on the screen for you guys here. We're going to see them go after political adversaries. Anyway, like if Trump wanted to get rid of his adversaries, he very well could get rid of them all using these Epstein files. He could go after individuals. And I think that the curious part and the concern is that there's these videos out there. What if there are videos that show Trump in this? Are we going to just say, oh, those are AI deep fakes? Is that what the right's going to then say? Oh, those are fakes. We know it. Those aren't real. And they're going to buy in and double down, and the left's going to say, see, here's the proof. And then Bill Clinton videos will be involved, and they'll be like, oh, those are deep fakes, and everything is fake. And we predicted this on the Rundown Live for years and years with Don Vi Jr. on the program. What is real and what is new, or what is not? The CIA wants to challenge your very understanding of reality of how the world works. You don't have a clue of how dirty and what the world really is and how it works till you start reading and start listening to all the information out there. And I know people hit on me and they're upset with me about me researching people that I don't agree with, whether it's Fritz Springmeier or people on the left in the Blue Anon forums. I want to hear from everybody. I want to know from everybody. But why wouldn't you use this as a Trojan horse to get rid of all your adversaries? All of a sudden, you got Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. They're going to go and they're going to face Congress. What are they going to do? Plead the fifth the whole time? What if Hillary and Bill Clinton said, fine, we've lived a good life. Fuck it. Let's just tell the truth. How would you guys feel about that? I got to ask you guys, that's a real question. What if Bill Clinton, we know that's not going to happen, but what if all of a sudden Bill's in there and he's like, yep, we had orgies, we partied, women died, all that stuff is real and it happened in real life. What if that's what happens and they say everything we're hearing, the child sacrifice, all that is real? You know what will happen? The right will say, oh, they're just trying to put Trump in jail. Bigger the sinner, bigger the saint. Would you guys accept Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton's redemption after being such bad people? They figure, like, let's make things right and fuck the system. I doubt that's going to happen. But what if that happened? How would you guys feel about that? You'd be very torn. You'd have a question of what is real and what is not real. You would have you'd be trying to understand what is going on in our reality and the fabric of the world we live in. Our comment section is blowing up right now, so if you haven't, rumble.com/therundownlive. You can find us live audio on groundzeroplus.com right now. You can, so if you want to be mobile and listen to us, you can do that from the Ground Zero Plus website. Just hit play. We are also live on facebook.com/therundownlive. Kriston Harris. You can search for me there. I'm also live on Twitter /Kriston T. Harris. And what do we got in the chat real quick? I want to see what some of the people are saying. We got Paula and Wishborn right now lighting up the chat. They protect their own, especially nowadays. Of course, he's still alive. We're not seeing what you are seeing, it says. Oh, you're not seeing the documents I was showing because I had it on full screen. Yeah, let's go ahead and we got this here. Ex-offices raided by France as prosecutors investigate child abuse and images and deepfakes. So the question is, would Trump use this to go after adversaries, including if Elon Musk was really at these parties, right? Was he really measuring, genitalia of young girls and figuring out who is loose and who is not in front of Ivanka and his son? Is that a real thing? I don't know. That sounds like crazy to me. But so does eating feces out of intestines of dead babies. Either people really hate Donald Trump, which is very possible, or these are some truth. Fried Sugar says it would be a joke if all they did is plead the fifth. Democrats wouldn't care. They kind of irrelevant now in the political sphere. Wow. And we got Bobby in the chat. How you doing, Bobby? Nice to see you, Bobby, in the chat. Ryan in the chat. Chat's on fire right now. They protect their own, especially nowadays. And, of course, he's still alive when you're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Fried Sugar says, the Clintons are going to go in there and plead the fifth. I mean, that's all over the news right now. And obviously, the Clintons are going to go in there and be like, it's all hogwash, and these are just crazy. Bill Clinton, as to this day, never raped a female. There's no body count, which I interviewed Larry Nichols, their bodyguard, which is a great episode, by the way. I published that to Rumble. Go to rumble.com/therundownlive. I interviewed Larry Nichols, the former bodyguard of the Clinton. He talks about all the people he killed for them. He was on the deathbed. That's what he said. I don't know if it's real. I'm just an investigative journalist, and I go to the people. I spent a week with Lee Harvey Oswald's former lover, Judith Baker, St. John Hunt, Howard Hunt's kid from the Department of the head of the CIA, his son. About what happened, JK. Like, I try to do real work for you guys. I go out to these places, I do the investigation, and I publish what I can find, and I try to give you accurate information. That's how I end up on all these shows. I bring in some of the best information out there. So right now, the Clintons being subpoenaed. It says Clinton to set for depositions and House panels, Epstein inquiry later this month, Comer says. Wouldn't it be something if Bill Clinton all of a sudden dies? That would be something. But what if Elon Musk ends up in jail? Elon Musk is all saying, prosecute. Well, I bet you if Donald Trump is guilty, the first person he prosecutes is probably poor little Elon Musk. Elon Musk got out right away. He said, Trump's in the Epstein files. I'm out. Peace. Fuck those. U.S. aid, all trash, no earmarks, trillions of dollars missing. Shit, that's $30,000 per American citizen stolen out of your back pocket. And if you sent in your taxes, like we're getting these Epstein reports half blacked out, you'd end up in jail. But these people are having giant orgies, having prostitutes, killing children, burying them on golf courses if the allegations are true. And we didn't even get into some of the more dirty stuff. I skipped some of those. We just don't have time to go through all of them. But tomorrow's broadcast, make sure you're following me, The Rundown Live, and tune in daily. We will try to get these updated and uploaded to one of the podcast apps. We have one coming out with Ground Zero Plus, and that's the one I really want you guys to work for. But I want you guys to have access to all this information to share it. So go to my page, find me on Facebook, Kriston, Kristant Harris, and you can find all these things we're talking about right there on the page. Jeffrey Epstein, the UK Telegraph reports, as we mentioned earlier, he has an illegitimate child. Illegitimate child. Epstein had secret child emails claim Sarah Ferguson congratulated the pedophile on birth of a baby boy 15 years ago. Should this dude be having a kid? He's like, hell no. You need to get that kid away from me. I'm sure it's sitting in it was set up for adoption, doesn't know his real dad is, and probably sings in some big metal punk band someplace, or a hip hop band like the guy from Linkin Park who was allegedly John Podesta's illegitimate child, which, as we found out, the Podestas could be from Chicago, according to the Epstein's Green Bay leak. But yeah, Epstein had a secret child. He has a kid. You think I would have a kid, man? I'm a smart individual. Maybe I still have time yet. I don't know. But we'll see. Yeah, Sarah Ferguson congratulated him. And, oh, look at there. There's Epstein. He's looking good in that picture. Why would they pick that picture? Epstein without a shirt on to tell that he is a kid. Epstein had a secret child, according to a message sent to him by Sarah Ferguson. The former Duchess of York congratulated the pedophile on the birth of a baby boy after he was released from jail in 2011. So that means the kid is 13 or 14, probably been through the same pedophile network and or has been sacrificed or murdered, if any of this crap is true. She offered Epstein her love, friendship, and congratulations after hearing the news from the Duke, probably referring to Andrew Moltbatten Windsor, her ex-husband. In a separate document released in the latest tranche, a teenage girl claims that the daughter she shared with Epstein was taken away from her minutes after birth. The diary entry alleges that the mother gave birth in about 2002 when she was at the age 16 or 17, along with a copy of the pregnancy scan. How do you not know if you're 16 or 17? Oh, it's about 16, 17. I'm not sure. You don't remember when you had a kid? I don't know. That seems a little sus. The woman who refers to herself as the human incubator, okay, said she was born. I heard her cries. I saw the tiny head and the body in the bottom of the doctor's hands. Galan said she was beautiful. Where is she? And here is the document from the Epstein files. And it says she is gone and she won't be coming back. The diary entries discuss the difficulties of her childbirth and then having 10 to 15 minutes to hold and feed her baby before they took her. She is mine. I want her back. Distraught, she added. It had never been established if Epstein has any children, despite allegedly having sexual relationships with hundreds of women, probably thousands of women. His last known girlfriend was set to inherit most of his fortune, properties, and island in a will changed shortly before his death in prison in 2019. He left a whole bunch of people. Check this out. Epstein then all of a sudden wants to leave all his workers at his ranch and every place else a lot of money. You know, hush money. Sarah Ferguson messaged Epstein via BlackBerry, said, "You have disappeared. I did not even know you were having a baby. I was so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to know Andrew, and that really hurt me deeply, more than you will know." And so it says U.S. Department of Justice on Friday, along with 180,000 images and over 2,000 videos that they have. I'm sure that some of them have Epstein doing terrible things. And I'm seeing most of these videos are all blacked out. I've been watching them, and there's definitely young girls in them, and it's disgusting. So we're going to give you a quick rundown in the last few minutes of the broadcast here, and I want you guys to look over this information. If you find anything new in the Epstein files, drop them, send them to me. I'd love to talk about this broadcast. Our broadcast reaches a lot of influencers, a lot of people listen to this program to figure out what to talk about on their daily show. I've been around for 20 years. I am one of the OGs on the fake news list by the LA Times. That is why it's so hard to find my stuff. It's Bobby says, "What's up?" Ryan Nye, they protect their own, especially nowadays. Of course, Epstein is alive. Ryan Nye says in the chat. We got Fred Sugar. How do we unwrap all of this Epstein stuff? How do we validate and move forward? What is the next move? And I think instead of getting into, we have a very cool story about China unveils flying aircraft carriers, which emits drones, just motherships, having little drone babies that will come and spy on you and like they live. Rowdy Piper. You know, we have that going on right now, and I'd like to talk about that. But I also wanted to talk about Bitcoin and Epstein potentially being one of the influencers behind that, but I don't think we're going to get to that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to answer this question. And I want you guys to answer this in your head and in your heart, and I want you to think about this because this is a really hard one for me. I'm a good person. And it's hard for some people to say that. Some people cannot say that they're a good person. I saw an interview, Jeffrey Epstein, where they asked him if he was the devil. And he's like, yeah, I'd work with the devil if the price was right. Like, because he's Jewish. He doesn't believe him. I noticed slurs like goyim. I'm not quite sure what that means. I think it means Gentile or somebody that's non-Jewish. I think it's slang. It's like, using any other derogative term to explain somebody that's non-Jewish, goyim, if I remember right. Let me look that up. Maybe goyim. There's a bunch of people using the term goyim in the chat. Goyim or goy is a Hebrew or Yiddish term for non-Jew or Gentile, derived from the biblical word for nation or people. And basically they said, oh, that's for the goyim. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit outside or whatever it is. There's just a lot of weird things that are in the chat. But I want you guys to think about this. You need to look at these Epstein files objectively. And it's hard. Because everything we've been told from John Todd, the Jesus People movement, remember that guy in the 60s or 70s? He was arrested for being engaged in minors, but he warned about the Illuminati and sex parties and extortion and how they were infiltrating Christian music in order to make people more secular in the church and sell secular music. That's why all the Christian music really sounded like secular music, and it didn't sound so original back in the days. They were just trying to make more album sales, and at the end of the day, you play the vinyl record backwards, it might say some satanic crap on it. I remember that. People will be playing records backwards. So what's the importance of this? He's not the only one. Jordan Maxwell warned about the cabal. Anthony Hilder warned about this cabal. We saw Bohemian Grove and the mock child sacrifice, and we wonder why this goes on in these cabals. And it's all about the mystery religion. First of all, we need to acknowledge that the Babylonian mystery religion and these elite groups is still believed to be the authentic version and testament of the world. Astrotheology and occultism have sun worship. Satanic Luciferianism. And for those that are out there and don't understand the story of Nimrod and Semiramis, the first king of Babylon to establish an old world order. That's why the elite refer to it to the New World Order. He was the first sun deity to be worshipped. That's why we have Sunday, and that the king wears a crown. The crown looks gold and has rays because it represents the sun, because a king is supposed to illuminate those around him. It was said Nimrod was the first person to receive the illumination of the all-seeing eye because he had incestuous ritualistic sex magic with his mother and wife Semiramis, which gave him super abilities and everything else according to it. And the people wouldn't worship him, so he installed child sacrifice. That's why the term cannibal, its etymology is Babylonian priest. A bonfire. We still have bonfires today. The languages we talk about, Saint Nick, Nicholas, Satan is adversary. Who's the adversary? Mystery Babylon. Nimrod, Noah's great-grandson, who was a mighty hunter before God and was killed by Abraham. His body was cut into 14 parts, and his phallus was reanimated by Semiramis, who had immaculate conception of her son Tammuz, who was born on December 25th. And then when Tammuz died, she wept, and an evergreen tree popped forward. That's where you get the Christmas tree for Christmas, some people believe. And the color is red and green, of fire and growth. So how do we end this? We look at it objectively, right? We really don't know what is true. Right? It's like having a neighbor and somebody says, hey, they have a giant stone owl they're worshiping next door. And you look at it and you're like, okay, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with it. Oh, they're doing mock child sacrifices next door. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's a religion. They can do it, Bohemian Club. Oh, these people are involved in their government. They're running things. Oh, there's extortion. Oh, there's definitely sex groups and sex orgies and prostitution. And these people are above the law. This has been going on forever. The elite being above the law, they get away with things that you can't. Imagine if you turned in your taxes half blacked out like the Epstein files that we got. Imagine if you didn't pay your taxes at all, you go to jail. These elitists can have allegations of all sorts of bizarre things, like rituals. They're involved in rituals. So they're involved in the cult. They have their stone statue. Now we're hearing rumors of disemboweled children, eating of feces out of intestines and child sacrifice, murders on yachts. And you have to ask yourself, is it true? And I think in our hearts, we kind of have a barometer. But the problem is we don't know. It's kind of like that gut instinct when you have that girlfriend that's cheating. And if you get the video evidence, you have your irrefutable evidence. But in your heart, you know it's happening. You got no proof. So you don't hold it against her until you find out it's true. And then maybe you can forgive her, because that's what you're supposed to do as a Christian. And then move on and learn from the situation. And here what we're looking at is a globalist elite that is a girlfriend. It's a toxic relationship. We're in a toxic relationship with our government, who is cheating on us, who is claiming to be going to church, but yet going into the house of Minerva, Bohemian Grove, and doing mock child sacrifices, part of bizarre organizations, the Knights Templar, who claim to be Luciferians, satanic Luciferians, that Christ and John the Baptist had a polygamous relationship with Mary and had children, and they protect the bloodline, and that's the Grail. That's what they're saying on these Guardian shows with the top Knights Templar who are buying into the mystery religion. I'm not saying it's happening, but I'm saying everywhere we go, there are signs of evil. There are signs of uncertainty. And I think we need to move forward carefully. I think the first move is that we all need to rededicate our lives to whatever it is that we believe in. A creator, the moral goodness. We defeat evil with love. We defeat evil with forgiveness. We defeat evil with our heart. And we defeat evil with action. And we are merciless against evil. Merciless. These people have an opportunity, like the Clintons, to come into session and be honest. I can promise you nothing happened. That's what we're going to have. It's going to be a nothing burger. And if all of a sudden all the truth came out and they're like, I don't care if we die, who would believe it? Anyways, I want to shout out to the people in the chat. I want to say thank you to everyone here and all the viewers. I see we got so many viewers right now. We're potentially reaching some record numbers. I haven't seen so many viewers in a long time. And on all the platforms, we got a lot of viewers in Rumble, Facebook. We're live on Ground Zero Plus. We're live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Telegram and Rumble and all these platforms. Make sure you support me, guys. Listen, I'm 100% independent. I don't have a store yet. Our store has been we ran out of shirts. We ran out of all the cool stuff. We need to make that happen. We got bills to pay. So if you want to support me, you can do it right here by going ahead and scanning the screen. You can buy me a coffee. The links are in the chat below. You can do a Venmo, all that and a whole bunch more. And I think one thing we want to talk about is the hate against Jews, because that's a real thing too that's going on. And now it's cool to hate. It's cool to hate Jews. Kimmy says, awesome show. Paula says, awesome show. Thank you, guys. I want to leave you with these last two videos, and we're going to call it a night. You guys drop some chats. You can send me emails, show tips at therundownlive. Kristan T. Harris, private message me. Send me any of your Epstein files. Anything you see, TikTok reels, anything around this. Let me know. We're going to dive in. We're going to find out the truth together. Thank you, guys. Until we find a home on local syndication on radio here in Milwaukee, I want you guys to know that this is the place for truth and honesty and for you to contribute your ideas. Thank you. You are listening to Kristan T. Harris. This is therundownlive.com, therundownlive.com. We'll have a new website coming. We paid somebody to do it. They dropped the ball. Let's go check this out. Here you go. This is Jordan Maxwell talking about what the meaning of Holocaust is.
I mean, how many Jews talk about the Holocaust and haven't got the faintest idea in the world what a Holocaust is? oh, a Holocaust is a terrible tragedy, oh, it's a big fire, or something like that, it's terrible something. No. That's not what a Holocaust is. A Holocaust, according to the actual research documents, means a sacrificial, ritualistic burnt offering. When Abel and Cain and Abel in the Bible offered up a sacrifice to God, the word in the Hebrew Bible is they offered up their Holocaust to God. So a Holocaust is a ritualistic, sacrificial, burnt offering.
I'm Chris Don
Get it
Harris.
right.
You guys have a good night. We'll see
Why
you guys
did
tomorrow.
the
Same bad
Jewish
time, same
leaders
bad
in
channel,
this
Road
country
Zero.
and around the world use...
What do I mean?